Let's lock in, bro. Let's lock in. We got a job to do, bro. Cause I seen this and I say I gotta talk about it. I seen this ish and I said I gotta talk about it, bro. What's good? What's good? What's good? How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? Welcome back to the Flex Mind Network. Y'all are tapped in with your favorite Canadian reaction channel. We got a job to do. We got a job to do because Spotify is talking dumb. Spotify is talking dumb, and we cannot continue to allow this because it's just getting a little ridiculous at this point. Just a tiny bit ridiculous that we're getting to this point right now. You know? Why is it that we are allowing these platforms, these applications, these avenues speak for the consumer, knowing that the consumer is the one that has the voice? Isn't it funny how UMG has a deal with what's that one company called? Is it called Edge, something like that? I don't remember the name, but I remember what they bout. They are D2C, which is direct to consumer, and UMG has struck a deal with them so that they can also get direct to consumer revenue. These record labels are noticing everything that is happening. The only reason why they are acting, or the only reason why they're doing something and making all these deals, is because they see the money behind it. At the end of the day, they love their money too much. They greedy. They want their hands on everything. It's all about control, and with control comes money. You spend it, you get it. That's how it be with these people. You know? This ain't new news. This regular news. Regular scheduled programming. That's how it been. That's how it's always been. Right? So it's just, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised this is what it's come to. I'm just disappointed in a sense, if I'm going to be completely honest, because we're continuing to allow these record labels, these applications. Mind you, Spotify is an application. It is a music library. Spotify controls nothing. It's a music library that curates playlists for the consumer based on their listening patterns. In other words, it's a music library that collects data so that they can distribute back to the consumer to kind of manipulate, and not manipulate in a sense, but more about like that conditioning, that mental conditioning that I like to talk about. That's what these companies are doing, bro. That's why a lot of people be talking crazy, thinking crazy, looking crazy nowadays. Right? This ain't new. It's been happening. It's just that it's noticeable now. So I want to go ahead with my first video. Alright? Now, if I'm going to be completely honest, it's been over a year since I've even reacted to one of this lady's videos. Over a year. But I'm still here. I'm still subscribed. I've still been listening, paying attention. So, with the nonsense Spotify is talking about, I feel like I gotta also give my 2 cents. But you know me, we do reactions around here, right? But don't get it twisted. Just because we're doing a reaction don't mean we're just going to sit back and watch. We still got a lot to say on our own end. That's why the reactions over here are unique. Like I've been saying prior, Spotify is a music library. Okay? It is a music library that takes consumer data and redistributes it back to consumer based on different playlists, different suggested artists, based on their listening patterns, of course, right? That's all Spotify is. Spotify don't control streams. They display streams. That's what they do. They display streams. When it comes to real and fake now, that's a whole other story. We can leave that for another video for another day. My point is, when it comes to music consumption, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, those platforms, they're just platforms, music libraries. If you want to talk about who controls the streaming, who dictates streaming numbers and value, you got to look over to Billboard. Billboard is the one that controls the streaming numbers and value. Okay? So when I see something like Spotify say, hip hop needs new leaders. Who are you to try and dictate the consumer? See, you're lucky the consumer was conditioned to be stupid. You're lucky for that. You're lucky you have successfully manipulated the consumer to believe everything you say, because you have made yourself look like the end all be all, i.e. look like, or not i.e. but like, you know, emphasis on look like, right? So it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise whatsoever. To be honest, it's actually very disappointing. And it falls back down to the consumer because of their lack of information and knowledge is the reason why they continue to be used by these big companies. I'm not surprised about it, bro. I'm sitting back just laughing about it because, yo, if you want to do better and be better, I ain't gonna lie to you, you got to pick up a book or something. At least, like, you know, educate yourself. But yeah, Spotify trying to dictate and control the narrative with what's going on in hip hop. No, sir. No, sir. Same thing with XXL. They try to do the same thing. They're trying to push us and tell us, oh, these artists are the future, but they can't even rap. Y'all give them a flow beat, and I know y'all give them practice time, and it just sounds like a song that they were trying to put together that's a throwaway. See, this is why we got to give our love and thanks to On The Radar. This is how you know we're moving on to bigger and better pastures. Because On The Radar, I ain't going to hold you. That freestyle with them 10 dudes, outstanding rappers. That's the future. And you're going to sit there and tell me Sexy Red, Lil Tecca, and some other artists that don't really drop music are the future. How? How? Y'all are using lies to induce rage bait, to create a conversation, and also to push other artists out there to do better so that your numbers will look nicer and your revenue would be outstanding. You can't control this hip hop ish, bruh. Sorry, that's not for you. You're just a platform. How are we gonna allow a platform dictate the conversation? That's blasphemy to me, bro. I'm not gonna sit there and ever since we found out about Spotify and what they're really about, bro, y'all are just a tool. Spotify is a tool. It is not actually dictating nothing. It's a tool. Y'all using rage bait to create a conversation and say, oh, y'all are wrong. You should look at these artists. Y'all giving them data. See, that's the tricky thing with rage bait. Rage bait is like a mental game because people will purposely do it just to get a reaction out of you, to get information out of you at the same time. Because if you're angry enough, you're going to share information you probably shouldn't be sharing with them. What's good, Connor? How you feeling? Shouldn't you be in bed, by the way, bro? Anyway, like I said, I haven't watched this channel in over a year. I remember, like, when the beef was just over, I watched one of her videos, and I'm like, I'm impressed. But I haven't came back until today. My fault, but, you know, we here regardless. Because this a big topic for me. We are not going to allow Spotify to speak up like this. You know what I'm saying? So, if I'm correct, your name is Samaya. God knows I'm not going to pronounce that last name, but it's cool, though. But either way, your video is titled, Hip Hop Needs New Leaders. Did Streaming Kill the Rap Star? Already, I like the title, and I like where this can go. So, let's not waste no more time. Let's lock in with this. Listen, y'all know how we start this, right? Let's go ahead and make it happen. This is going to be a short live today, but we're still getting to the info. Let's go. Yo, you, right here. In the small box, right here in the small box. Yeah, I like that red light in the back, by the way. Yo, welcome back to the Flex Mind Network. You tapped in with your favorite Canadian reaction channel and network. Shout out to the Flex Mob. Shout out Mob. I appreciate y'all equally. Thank you for stopping by for sure. We got a big topic. This is a big topic. It might seem small because a lot of us already know, but this is a big topic because if we're going to continue to allow applications, and mind you, Spotify is an application. If we're going to continue to allow these applications dictate and create narratives, then we're doomed to repeat everything that we're trying to move away from when it comes to this shift in music, right? So enough of me talking. Let's lock in with this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the vibe. You tapped in with your favorite Canadian reaction channel, like I said, and network. Shout out to the Flex Mob, Shadow Mob. Let's lock in and get started with this video. Let's go.
Where are the new rap superstars? And did streaming kill them all off? As a music journalist, I have some thoughts on this because Spotify is asking a lot of big questions that many of us are talking about in the music business, but I'm not sure we really talked about the combination of streaming and why it's led to the decline of hip hop superstars. Let's get into it.
Go ahead.
There was a time people said that video killed the radio star. Did streaming kill the hip hop star? That's something I've been thinking a lot about. So Spotify, which is the biggest DSP or digital streaming platform, has put the
streaming did not kill the rap superstar. Or not even rap superstar. It didn't kill the rap star in general. You first got to define what a rap star is, right? In today's day and age, a rap star looks very different to the rap star that we know can fly. We already know what time it is. On the Radar just proved that the other day. So, with those superstars, I keep saying superstars, with those rap stars, they've simply been pushed to the back. Everything that they do has been pushed to the back, and they're bringing in these people that get clubs jumping and party lit and TikTok likes, views, and engagement. They're pushing those guys forward, right? But watch this now. In today's day and age, what's going on right now, you got to have a mixture of both to make it work overall. You got to provide for both sides, for the getting lit and the conscious. I think that's my personal opinion, what an overall rap star should do. You got to be able to play both sides, right? If you can successfully do that, your career is good, guaranteed.
These billboards all around the country that talk about hip hop needing new leaders. Crazy. And the streaming site went on Twitter, and this is what they shared. I'm going to read this to you because I find this very interesting. Then we're going to break it all down. I have to pull my computer. So this is from Rap Caviar, which, as many as you know, it's the Spotify's biggest hip hop playlist. Hip hop needs new leaders. Historically, a new group of rising stars has established itself as hip hop's pace setters every 5 to 10 years. That's true. By 2016, Drake, Nicki Minaj, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and others had cemented themselves as the leaders of the 2010s. Also true. That's the blog era. That's the era I came up as a journalist. Great era.
See, what you need to understand, though, is that the first point, 5 to 10 years, facts. We've already talked about it on this channel before. This ain't new news. Now, when it comes to the stars that you listed, Drake, Nicki Minaj, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and others had cemented themselves as leaders of the 2010s. We are in 2026. Remember what they said, 5 to 10 years. We are in 2026 right now, and they just mentioned the 2010s. Let's take it from the 2010 to 2026. That is 16 years we've been having the same artists over and over, and no one's asking the question as to why. This is what happens when you rely on one to dictate and lead many. Y'all relied on this one artist and said, he is the future. He is hip hop. He is a rap star. He is the greatest. And guess what? It led to all of rap's downfall because y'all continue to push one and ignored many. Y'all thought this one artist was going to bring you revenue for years. He did. You completed your mission, but you didn't realize your system's flawed the longer that you have it in play. You built up Aubrey Graham, Drake, to be the one, the golden child, And it worked. Mission successful, mission cleared. You know, you passed. But then you kept it there. Why? It was supposed to be over in the 10 years. You got the Artist of the Decade award. Who was next? Where was the next person? Y'all focus all y'all funds. You focus all your marketing on one and forgot rap is not about one person. It's about a community and a culture and a plethora of artists that can hold it down. And y'all didn't continue that train. Y'all wanted to derail this train. And you damn near successfully done that. That's crazy to me.
A decade later, several talented artists have shown promise of becoming rap's next big thing, but they've yet to follow in our Mount Rushmore's footsteps. I wonder why that is. New superstars are essential to the health of the genre, so new leaders must rise alongside today's icons to push hip hop forward. Remember that, rise alongside. We're going to get back to that. Who's going to lead hip hop's next generation? A few contenders have emerged, but who will take the next step? Now, I'm going to apologize, so my voice does sound a little weird. I'm getting over a cold, so even though it's very hot and sunny in LA, people are laid out by the pool, like right next to me, and I'm, fully stuffed up. So don't come for me in the comments about my voice.
Wait, you're in LA now? You used to be in New York. That's crazy. Yo, I feel like this lady, this woman, she should be on the consumer group chat because I feel like with the rest of the guys, we can have an outstanding conversation, and I'll be fire.
I can hear it. So what does this mean? Well, I'm going to start with what I agree with. I agree that hip hop does need new superstars. As a genre, this is something I've said over and over in videos. It cannot be that the leaders of a genre have been around for a decade plus. I mean, you look at someone like Kendrick, Cole, Drake, Nicki, like the people that were mentioned, they've been around since what, like '09, and that's commercially. Like that's not even counting what they were doing on the underground and in mixtapes. So this is what, if my math is right, we're talking about like 17 years. So if you're a young person, like if you're 17 now, you've never known a time without these artists. So are they old school to you? Are they new school? It makes no sense. It's kind of all over the place. And you have to remember, hip hop historically has been a young person genre. It's supposed to be young people talking to each other about what's going on in their lives. I'm right now kind of, towards the end of editing my Rockefeller book. And a lot of people don't know one of the reasons Jay-Z got rejected by all the labels he initially tried to sign with. People just thought he was too old. And at the time, he was like in his mid 20s. But let's compare it. Nas was what, like 17 when Illmatic dropped? Like he was a baby. And I think that
I agree, but let me help your point. Because back then it was definitely a younger game, but you also got to consider labels weren't following rap like that. They understood it, but they never followed it because the labels are not just looking at rap. They're looking at everything. They're looking at the landscape. The landscape back then was young. You got to remember, you had Nickelodeon, you had Family. What's that one star? What's that one show that was like the Apollo but for kids? I forget the name, but like it's the same criteria. Like it was young. Like being an artist back then, you had to be young, right? And then when you look at Bow Wow, you know what I'm saying? Even heck, what's her name, Hilary Duff, or like even just like the High School Musical, they were portrayed as young. You know, like everything was young. So yeah, Jay-Z looked older. You know, he was grown for his age, especially at 22. So it made sense, but like that's the real reason. Like the generation back then is young. Now in 2026, it's an older man's game. It's the more seasoned artists that the ones that'll be getting the blessings and really be getting the marketing push nowadays because hey, it's what it is, man. That's just what it is. What's good, Noah? The times have changed, man.
That became the thing of, as time went on, artists like Jay, later on even people like 50 and Dre and Two Chains and Jeezy and all these people show that you could come into the game older as well as, age into it. I mean, you look at somebody like the Clips, I think Malice is in his 50s and
52.
he's like still rapping at a very high level. But I think the problem is, in order for a genre to really represent the voice and the sentiment of young people, you need young people. And it is what it is. And everyone knows I love my dad rap. I love my over 40 hip hop. I mean, you
Dad
look at
rap.
my Spotify, and I think my Spotify age is like 5 or 10 years older than I really am, because I love like 90s hip hop, blog era, and even older stuff. Like I've been getting into like 80s hip hop, like when I wasn't even born yet. But for a genre to really be the leader in music and fashion and culture, there has to be just that energy, that rebellion, that kind of, take down the system, that like punk energy that so much of.
And that's exactly what Denzel Curry and the Scythe is doing. Denzel Curry, ASAP Ferg, they put together a group called the Scythe. That's literally that punk energy that a younger generation needs. They need something that's like, oh, this is different, but it's raw. It's not edgy, it's raw. So I respect Denzel Curry for him putting together that group, cause the Scythe I know is not for a lot of people, but it's going to work. So it's dope as hell.
Early hip hop had, which I feel that we've lost as time goes on and as people get richer. That might be a whole other video about how ultra wealth has affected hip hop. If you want that video, let me know in the comments. But people just become more and more removed, and I can't blame them. Do you want to hear raps about people, talking about like their retirement and their investment accounts and their kids? I think there's a lane for that. But I also understand where someone like Andre 3000, I think it was his GQ interview, he's like, no one wants to know about like my doctor's appointments. Like, I'm just living a quiet, regular life, and no one wants to hear about that. And I think that is something that is very true. As we lean into these older artists, they're also taking up real estate from younger artists. And I think that's something that we have to discuss. And streaming has been a big part of that. You have to remember, prior to streaming, when we're talking about like the physical era of music, the runway for artists was very limited. You would put out an album maybe once every 2 years. It was actually people like Jay-Z, DMX, that they were putting out multiple albums within like a year. I mean, X was doing 2 in 1 year at one point, but you were supposed to like pace yourselves. And when you weren't actively putting out music, it was called being in an off cycle, and no one knew where you were. You weren't on the radio. You weren't supposed to be doing interviews. Now artists are everywhere all the time. And
The labels hated when artists took forever to drop, because there's no money in that, right? Bro, this music game is so tricky. It's not easy to follow, but just understand what I'm about to say right now. Labels don't want you to go away. Labels don't want you to disappear. Labels don't want your music to fade away, because if it fades away, the money that was following that artist and the gross amount of money that came from an artist in terms of revenue, that fades away as well. That's why they want artists to be in your face. That's why they want artists to continue to be seen. They want artists to be remembered. They want their faces, their personality, everything to be remembered. That's when it shifted over from actually being artists. It shifted over from actually being an artist to being an influencer. Now it's shifting over to being a content creator, which is a mixture of both. I'll just leave it right there for now.
expectation is
What's
that
good, big
they're
sis?
everywhere
What's
all the
good?
time. So because of that, we
XPP,
don't
what's
really
poppin',
have
bro?
that mystique. You can't build as a superstar if I see you every day. Like there has to be this idea that like their feet don't touch the ground, right? And if you're here all the time, which streaming has been a big part of that, then it's really hard to kind of create and cultivate this mystique. Then there's this idea with streaming that really helped artists who had already established themselves in the physical era as well as the digital era. What do I mean by that? Let's look at somebody like Kendrick Lamar. There's a lot of young fans who their introduction to Kendrick was the Drake battle, Not Like Us. So imagine like Not Like Us as your entree into Kendrick Lamar. First of all, you're welcome. Now you get to like experience and explore all this great music. You can go onto something like Spotify and explore his whole discography. So all of a sudden, within what, like a weekend, now you're a Kendrick expert. You're a super fan. You want to buy the merch. You want.
But that's all Spotify is. That's what I'm saying. Why is Spotify trying to dictate what's up? You're a music platform. You're a digital streaming platform. That's all you are. You're a music library. You don't even control streams. I'll never forget that day, man. Yo, shout out Jay Nolan for that information. I will never forget that day. When he sat there, he read the article saying Billboard is the one that's controlling how much a stream weighs and what the stream actually is. Bro, Spotify don't control nothing, but y'all want to control the conversation. Excuse me? Excuse me? Are you serious? Bro, go play my music, bro. That's like, what? Are you kidding me?
Want to go to his shows. This is converting new fans. Now, on one hand, from a music discovery standpoint, it's awesome. You got to remember, prior to this, you had to go and like literally dig for music. So let's look at somebody like myself. My first Jay-Z album purchase was Volume 2, Hard Knock Life. I sort of had heard of Jay before, like Volume 1 era, but not doing Reasonable Doubt. So I bought Volume 2, and then I had to go back and buy Volume 1 and Reasonable Doubt. And I had to pace myself because I did not have like $40 to just spend on CDs at one time. So imagine, yes, I spent more time with those albums because I spent money on them and I really enjoyed them from start to finish. But it wasn't as simple as having every single piece of music pretty much available at your fingertips. So there's a lot of music discovery that's helping these older artists. Nowadays, you look at some of these artists like the Drakes, Kendrick, Nicki, they got to come out and sell physical CDs. Then they were selling in the iTunes era. Now they're also selling in streaming. So they were able to hit all of these touch points, and every new generation gets to be introduced to them. That's why their star power just continues on and on. You see this even with like one hit wonders. Look at someone like a Jaquan. Tipsy came out like when I was younger, and it was a cute song. But think about all the
don't do that. Don't do that. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Are you dumb? Are you dumb? I gotta add that to my my DJ set, by the way. I gotta add that. You know what? Let me write that down because I know I'm gonna forget.
people who discovered it because of Shabuzi, or they're going to go listen to his bar song, and then maybe the algorithm is going to recommend Tipsy. All of a sudden, this one hit wonder is probably like raking in money, just passive income. That's something that streaming allowed. So in that case, I love to see these older artists or even artists who the industry didn't give them a fair shot or the right resources when they came out, enjoying these second lives and second chapters. But the flip side of that is you're not going to get new people. There's only so much real estate on playlists. There's only so many hours in the day that you can listen to music. We can only consume so much. The other part of it is streaming and
Also, another fun fact, because she's getting to a really good point, but I want to say this right now. I've been doing a lot of research, going to different channels that share a lot of knowledge and information about different roles, different tasks, and what goes on in the music industry. There's actually a very interesting thing happening behind the scenes right now, and a lot of the executives that left, that stepped away from certain labels and everything, they're stepping back into the game with their own brands right now to find artists again, which is very pleasing, because those same labels that they left from or they got pushed out of, they're failing to understand that y'all gotta find these people, bruh. Don't rely on TikTok to find nobody, because it's not gonna work. You gotta go out there. The A&R job is it's important again. And we need that right now, because we need to find the right people for the right job. It's not about getting anybody and then flipping them into an artist, right? You can't go find any of the same thing that they did for Jack Harlow and Ice Spice. Them days are over, bruh. The last person y'all did it for was Sexy Red, and y'all saw how destructive that was. Them days are over. Y'all gotta go out and find the artist. So certain manager roles, like these executives are stepping back into manager roles, being the ones to develop an artist, to help develop the brand, the marketing. They're stepping into those roles again. And what she's talking about, it's gonna add to it. But like, it's kind of great to see these guys start working again. You know?
Specifically the mechanism I just explained, it leans so heavy into nostalgia. Most of us are just listening to music from the past, especially what's going on in the world today. People want something like cozy. They want something that's like comfortable, familiar. It's like a blanket. They don't want to really spend a lot of time doing the heavy lift of listening to new music, unless you're like a journalist like me and that's your job. But even someone like myself, like I look at what I listen to the most and do this as sort of a test. I'm going to predict the music era you listen to the most is probably around the time you were, let's say like 13 to 25, because those are extremely formative years. I bet that's the music era.
We should all know that the shift in music, we're moving forward with the skill, sound, and everything, but it's gonna feel familiar as if we went back a couple years. There's a trick to the shift. The sound is gonna sound familiar, but it's going to be advanced.
Era that you go back to. In your mind, those are the classics. That's what makes you happy. Those are memories that are very positive for you. So it's going to be harder for a new artist to push through, because so many of us are still listening to like old school stuff or nostalgia or throwbacks. So that's another thing. And I think Spotify knows it's leaned really heavy into that. I mean, they have so many playlists that are literally just pushing old records. So how are you supposed to break new artists? And I think for artists, I mean, let's be super honest. A big reason they can't break through is because Spotify still leans very heavy on superstars. It leans very heavy on major label artists.
I love it. I love it. So I think this is where we're going to depart from being on the same page. Spotify is just a platform, bro. You know, like what I've been saying this whole time. Spotify is just a platform, man. Like, it's the labels that really be running Spotify, bro. If they really want to push an artist, you know what they got to do. I don't need to say it. And it's not what you think it is. You know, it's not the P word. I'm just say that. But we know what it takes to push an artist. We know what it takes. We've seen the same formula be used with a certain individual from Canada. We know the name. So it's not new news. This is all familiar. The reason why they're not doing it is because they're afraid this artist might not work or it might not pop. Bro, you just develop a strategy to push the artist. That's what I'm saying. It's a marketing game, bro. What's good, Noah? It's a marketing game, bro. Music is a marketing game. That's why I'm speaking proudly right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a marketing game, bro. As long as you have a marketing strategy behind an artist that really can work, you can push whoever the hell you want to push. As long as they got the catalog and the sound that's going to resonate with the consumer base, it's going to work. Guaranteed. Now it's up to the artist to continue that hype train. So they're going to have their head down and work. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to build your catalog, like a serious catalog now. Take a page out of TDE and pglang. They're doing it right. They're doing it right. Like Baby Keem sold out a tour before the album dropped. How do you do that? There's a strategy behind it, and we witnessed it. We sat here and witnessed it on this channel and on a multitude of other channels as well. We saw what it took. We saw the work. So these labels are afraid of actually doing work, which is why they're not pushing nobody. They're scared. They don't think these artists can work. They're scared that the sound might be off for the consumer. Even though y'all were the same ones that pushed that mental conditioning onto everybody to like some bullshit. You know, let me stop cooking, bro. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to give out 5-star facts right now, you know?
I'm sure if you go to Rap Caviar now, and I remember when it was like a smaller, more curated playlist, without even looking, I'm going to bet like the top 10 slots are probably major label artists. They're probably already household names. And yeah, if there's a week Kendrick drops, he's going to get the cover of Rap Caviar. He's going to get that top spot. He'll probably get multiple slots on that playlist. And that's just what it is. So for these streaming platforms, specifically Spotify, if they want to be known as a place to break new artists, then they have to change their paradigm, how they program those editorial playlists, moving away from these kind of algorithmic playlists or those combination ones that take a little bit of data, like what you've been listening to, as well as a curator. It should literally be, no, this is the new stuff. This is what you should be listening to. And that should be on the streaming side, as well as other facets of media and other platforms. I mean, even radio. You turn on a radio station now, you will hear all this music from like 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh, is that an oldie station? No, that's like the hot station. How is that possible? And then that's the other thing. Media across the board has been so consolidated that we're hearing the same 10 songs all the time. And I think especially when it comes to hip hop, a lot of programmers, there's only a few artists that they know, they feel their audience knows, and they're going to keep going back to that well over and over. As I was thinking about this, you look at somebody like an NBA YoungBoy. This is someone who I would say is a streaming darling. His streams are consistently incredibly high. Recently, he was awarded by the RIAA for having the most certifications. Even though that's true, I think a good chunk of the population has no idea who that is. And I think even a lot of like hip hop fans, especially older fans, they've heard the name, but they have no idea who that is. And if you pay them,
I'll do you one worse. Look who's managing him. Look who's looking after him. Birdman. Birdman is looking after NBA YoungBoy. And we've seen what Birdman did to Drake, Nicki Minaj, and Lil Wayne. And he's literally doing the same thing to NBA YoungBoy.
them $1 million, they cannot name 5 of his songs. And that's also just where we are as a landscape, where someone like him can be very big and over-index on something like streaming, but outside of his core audience, there hasn't been a big crossover record. He hasn't done some huge interview for, let's say, you know, like Vanity Fair or Rolling Stone, like things like that. You don't see him on, you know, late night television. He's not in the cultural zeitgeist in a way that an average fan or consumer would know who he is. But let's look at some of those earlier eras where we all shared certain cultural touch points. Like I remember when Drake came out, I remember when him and Nicki got the cover of Double XL. I remember when he was, you know, doing the late night circuit, when MTV did a whole special about him, when he was, you know, hosting SNL. Like these are these cultural touch points that when culture was a monolith, everyone knew what was going on. I think that's why the Kendrick Drake battle was different. because that push to pop culture, where all of a sudden people's moms were asking, like, hey, explain to me why Kendrick and Drake don't like each other, and Not Like Us became a cultural record, a pop culture moment where it's transcending, where Kendrick is like, all right, you're going to see me in the Grammys, on the Super Bowl, at the pop out, like I'm going to be everywhere, that I'm going on tour, like you cannot escape this song. The song is being used by sports leagues and commercials. Like that's how you become a superstar. But those are two artists arguably at like the peak of their careers who've had, what was the number, like 17 years of like artist development and marination and being able to touch the people. That's really hard, if not impossible, to do today. And that's the other thing. How important are these so-called traditional superstars? I think that's something all of us have to have a very serious conversation about. Because if you want an old school traditional superstar, then you need to work them like that. That means signing talent. That means developing them, A&R, give them the resources and the runway to make great records, classic albums, make sure that this artist is being treated like something special instead of every artist just being seen as a data point, instead of every artist feeling like they're the victim of the algorithm. Artists nowadays feel like they're content creators. They're obsessed with looking at like their monthly users on Spotify. And to me, it's like, that's part of the problem. So it's kind of funny where Spotify, of all people, is asking where are the new superstars. A big reason we don't have them is because of Spotify. So if that platform in particular, who again has the lion's share of the streaming market, if that's important to you, then make those inroads. Invest in artist discovery, support, and that means on like the
Spotify is a music application. Like I feel like I gotta keep reminding people, Spotify is a music application. It is a music library. It is a digital streaming platform. That's all they are. Like I feel like I gotta continue to remind people, like y'all think like Spotify dictate anything. No. Spotify is literally the man in the middle. Not the middleman, but the man in the middle. So you pretty much in the middle of the middleman. You're like, that's all it is. It's the labels that's frayed. Spotify doing their job, which is kind of sad at the same time because their job is like, it's not even a real, like y'all even, it's an algorithm. Yo, Spotify is not supposed to be part of the conversation, knowing that we're all here. Why don't any of these applications and platforms tap in with YouTube, since YouTube is the number one application in America right now? That's the number one application being used by Americans right now. Knowing that America, USA, leads the world in terms of culture, in terms of everything when it comes to hip hop style, sound, just like the influence. America is the number one influence for the rest of the world. Why don't you utilize that and start to look at the content creators on YouTube to help push messages so the world can actually be part of the conversation? Because we actually have really good conversations over here on YouTube. You know? You just got to find the right creators. That's it. You gotta change your strategy because it's not working the same way how it used to. Until they realize that, they're just going to be running in circles.
Editorial side, the marketing side, even on the algorithmic side, because I don't know about you guys, but the algorithm feeds me nostalgia rap. I'm getting a lot of 90s, a sprinkling of the 80s. I rarely, if ever, get new music fed to me in the algorithm. And it is what it is, because in the algorithm.
Hey, y'all remember the first episode of the consumer group chat, how we got to go out and look for music nowadays? I'm just saying. There's a reason why I had that as the first episode. That is the most important episode right now.
mind, you perpetually live in 1998, which is kind of true. And I think that becomes a thing too. These platforms are not intrinsically meant to like break new artists or develop superstars. They're a tech platform meant to keep users subscribed and listening on said platform. So there's also like an inherent paradigm issue there of Spotify kind of saying something, but not realizing what is your role in all of this. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but overall, I do feel like we do need new superstars, but I think in order for that to happen, it has to be a holistic effort from the labels to the media to fans and yeah, to the streaming platforms, because now that is the main commerce driver. And if that's going to be the case, taking the place of sales, taking the place of physical product, then Spotify and other streamers also have a part in this conversation and a responsibility to break, support, and help discover that next era of hip hop superstars. I have to go before my throat completely gives out.
Hey, yo.
So let me know what you think about all this.
Wait a minute.
Is this a conversation that you've been having? Who do you think are the next hip hop superstars? Like, who are the contenders? I've heard, you know, Tyler, Travis, Dirk. But again, these are guys who've been around a very long time. So if you have some new superstars and not just artists you like really think who are the superstars who could represent the genre, put some names in the comments, because I also want to take some time and, you know, do my research and due diligence and give some of these artists a listen.
There's a reality that we need to accept when it comes to superstars of today. They're not going to be young. They are not going to be young. Unless they have some sort of intelligence, they're not going to be young. I'm sorry. Everybody that's winning right now is, I don't want to say old, but they're up there. You know what I'm saying? For a lack of a better term. So until we accept that, we're going to be listing off some artists that have been around. Sorry, not sorry. That's just what it is. Spotify is a music library. I gotta make sure I remind y'all. Like, this is crazy, bro. This is actually crazy. So, at this point, we gotta change the narrative, bro. The consumer dictates everything. The reason why they're making these questions and they're starting this quote unquote rage bait is because they're trying to direct the consumer. Because if the consumer is all over the place with their thoughts and views, there's not going to be any real data to pull from. So when you rage bait and you induce anger with a post, now you can start to take data, because since you brought up a question so stupid and you brought up a list that's so fodder, people have no choice but to give their own thoughts and opinions, and now you start collect data from the comments that you see. And then once you start to see some familiar names, some familiar artist names, you're like, oh, so that's who it is. And then all they got to do is start to go through the catalogs to really confirm if this is the artist that they are looking for. And then boom, they found who they needed through lying to the consumer. And then you have some consumers that are just so brain dead, they really think Sexy Red is the future. Bro, you can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. It is what it is. Hey, I did what I needed to do for this one. Shout out to Samaya. I pray I'm saying your name right, because, you know, around here I be butchering names. You look like a good addition for the consumer group chat panel that we have on this channel. I wonder if you got some sort of socials that I can message you on. I feel like I might have to make a connection here to see if we can have her on the consumer group chat, because I feel like that'd be super, super dope. Like, the more great minds that we have out there to have these quality conversations, I feel like we can do something amazing on this channel, you know? But yeah, we still building over here, man. It's not an easy thing. It is stress. This is difficult, but we're doing what we need to do to just be outstanding individuals, right? So at this point, man, the marathon continues, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm struggling to see if I should have that as... Do I have that as members only, or do we keep that open? Because I'm not going to lie, I don't know. I threw out a lot of info. I'll probably keep it as public, but it might be members later on. I'm just saying. So that's a little treat, you know what I'm saying? That's a little, you know, I gave y'all a little snack, a little chip bag, you know, like the Halloween chip bags. Yo, splurge a little bit, you know. Anyway, Charles Brown, bro, one and done. So the fact that I ain't got no more videos to watch, I know some people sent me some videos about J. Cole and the whole Iceman. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Everyone's like, oh, J. Cole's not on the album, bro. That could be cap right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna sit there and feed into it. I saw a lot of people send me that, but don't expect me to watch that, because no. I already said I'm going to be listening to the Iceman album. I know when Drake drops, there's probably still going to be a blackout on YouTube with the hip hop community. So I'm simply doing my job as a Torontonian, unfortunately. And I'm going to listen to the album when it drops, you know? So for anybody else that's doing their blackout, do what you got to do. Me, excuse me, I'm going to be listening. So to anybody here in the Flex Mob, anybody that's seeing me say this right now, if you don't want to listen, don't come to the live. That's it. I'm not going to stress y'all and be like, yo, you got to pull up. I'll never do that. Never. If you don't want to listen to the album, don't come to the live. That's it. There's probably going to be a lot of Drake fans in the chat. So I know I can handle them. So even if I'm there and there's no moderators, that's fine. I'll handle that. That's an army that I can handle. That's not a problem for me. So I just got to make sure I say that, you know, before that day comes. You know, so it is what it is. We got a Charles Brown video we're going to watch. We're going to kick back, relax. It's not really a reaction. I just something to watch before we get out of here, and then, you know, do what we got to do. I'm probably going to be spinning some more, get some practice in. And, yeah, let's just go ahead, sit back, and just watch, bro. Let's go.
I just got to be me.
So be you, nigga.
What's up, word? Your boy Charles Brown back again, talking fact. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe and notification.
Oh, Josh, don't worry. I encourage you to sit that one out. I encourage you to do that.
Bell, keep sending those cash outs to COBMG. Join that membership and all you buying that merch down below. Gang, listen. So I got hit with like some kind of 48-hour bug. It was longer than 48 hours, but for at least 48 hours, I wasn't eating, drinking, anything. I was cooked, right? And if you see me go 3 days without posting or talking about anything, you can just go ahead and assume that Charles is dead or sick, right? This time I was sick. So end of the day, I'm back. I'm better. I'm still in the men, but there's your answer. That's why you haven't heard from me about 50 Cent and T.I. and King and all kind of nonsense going on. So we're going to play catch up. But before I do any of that, this is going to be one of those videos where I'm just talking to you, because before I got sick, Monday, I'm scrolling through YouTube, just watching different creators and different of my constituents. And this one hit me hard, gang. Like, it hit me after I watched it. And I like this guy. I'm going to be honest. So it's not going to be a takedown video. I'm not going to say his name, but you guys are savvy enough to figure this out.
Hey, Noah, you got that right.
But one of my constituents on YouTube something I already saw coming. When it finally got here, I was kind of like, oh boy, this is actually happening. This is actually happening. And one of my constituents on YouTube that I got a lot of respect for.
This man and that word, bro, constituents.
But it showed me a different side of where this thing is going. And I kind of have to admit that where it's going, I'm going to have to navigate it, but I got to be me. And the whole simple fact of the matter is, the reason I'm doing this video, one of the guys showed me that this whole YouTube thing is about to shift. And it's not going to be by accident. What's happening is they're shifting this thing back to where the people who are at the top of it are going to start pandering. People like me are about to be archaic. We're about to be Neanderthals. And I didn't see this. I saw it coming, but I didn't think it would be this dramatic. And I didn't think it would be this absolutely blatant. But like I said, I like this guy and I'm going to be respectful. So, and we still, I'm going to like him after this, and it's nothing against him, but I just see it. I see a situation where I see a guy that's 100%, I want to say, I'm going to use the word asking for a J. Cole interview, right? And I'm watching this video and he's going on about how he deserves this J. Cole interview.
No, big birthday.
And then he says something that stuck, it echoed in my head. He said, I don't do the other BS that these other channels do. And I couldn't really hear much after that. I'm like, what BS is that? I don't do the BS that these other channels do. And I started to listen with a different ear. I started to hear the dog whistles to J. Cole and others like J. Cole. And I started to replay all this stuff in my mind about how the last 2 years have gone. And I've seen this guy. I've seen this guy go out of his way to play the middleman and to be extremely fair. And that's one of the things I like about him. I said it in my past video. I said, this guy is one of the most down the middle. He tries to play it fair. And I'm going to be honest, when I look at the big picture of him playing it fair, he still get murdered by any side, no matter what happens. We're not in a play it fair anymore. We're not in a play it fair world anymore.
Nope.
We're in a world where you got to stand on one side or the other, or you got to be honest. You ain't even got to stand on one side or the other. You just got to be honest. And I think right now, when I'm looking at this J. Cole situation, and I'm starting to see one by one, after this album dropped, I'm starting to see one by one, everyone who had an issue starting to try to play nice for several reasons. One of the reasons is his fans are all over you. They're all over you. I get it. The fans are all over you. They're all over me. Charles, da 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 da. Right? And I respect your opinion. But it's to the point that people are, they're worse than Drake fans, because you can deal with a Drake fan. I told you, a Drake fan is a blunt object.
Yeah.
But a J. Cole fan is a different animal. And they try to come at you in different ways, and some of these guys can't deal with it, right? Not to mention, most of these guys who are talking in this hip-hop space, to be a J. Cole fan, you got to kind of have a level of intelligence. And a level of intelligence allows you to get in front of a camera and use the mic and the camera to speak intelligently about hip-hop. So a lot of these guys who are in this space, this YouTube commentary space, are intelligent speakers, and they're J. Cole fans. Let's just be honest. Let's call a spade what it is. A J. Cole fan, most of these guys on these pages, you can name one that ain't. Like, all of them were J. Cole fans before they started on YouTube. I'm just going to be honest. So what we're dealing with is an uphill battle of J. Cole fans who never wanted this thing to escalate in the first place. So where I'm getting at with this is, what I'm saying is, people like myself who call J. Cole out just like they called out Drake and everybody else in the name of this hip-hop thing that we love, I'm starting to see that when I said it before the album even dropped. I said when J. Cole, you can go back and watch, gang, I do not tell you, I don't make up stuff, gang. I say shit for a reason. You can go back to my videos when J. Cole dropped, what was this, disc 2, track 2, whatever the hell it was called. And he had a video accompanying it. He's washing down a Lamborghini truck, which I've been told that's what that is. And I told you the marketing plan was genius. And from that day on, you can feel a shift. You can feel the narrative changing. That what were we even mad about anymore? Why are you guys still talking about the battle? It started to become, that thing is archaic. You're still talking about him backing out of a battle. It started to be like a narrative, gang. This guy couldn't have paid for better marketing, gang. Because before that video,
What's good, Jordan? How you feeling?
You can make any kind of video you wanted about J. Cole. Didn't matter. Now, after this video, this trailer and this track came out, different animal, gang. Different animal. Now it's very, very apologetic. Now it's very, very dismissive of people who have a problem with what's going on with J. Cole. Now, what I'm seeing now is people want that interview. They want to critique this album and give it high marks. They've been waiting for this thing forever. And now what I'm starting to see is people are bending over backwards. We're turning back into this thing where the magazines ran everything and the artists had all the leeway in the situation. It starts to seem like these guys are doing exactly what Star told academics not to do, was to get wrapped up into the rappers and to start.
What you missed, I ain't gonna lie, you missed a little bit still. The first video, I was just sharing a whole lot of knowledge. You know? Shout out to Samaya for the video, but I was sharing a whole lot of knowledge in the first one. This one, we just sitting back and we listening before we get out of here. Culture United tonight, by the way.
Chilling with them and becoming compromised. Now, I say all that to say this. The Cole fans, they want all the conversation dead. And I understand that. This is no knock on the Cole fans. That's your guy, right? We all have a guy. We all have somebody that we feel a way about. And that's fine. But it's getting to the point now where, is this what's going to happen when Drake drops Iceman? Are these guys going to start pushing everything that he's done to the side and start pandering for that elusive interview? It's starting to feel like we got a bunch of fans who are going to start overlooking whatever you do because they're a fan. So somebody like me, right? I didn't get into this thing to be a commentator. I didn't get into this thing to be liked. I didn't get into this thing to be friends. I don't want to interview Kendrick. I don't want to interview anybody, right? If interviews happen in the future, they happen. But I'm not going to go out here overlooking fuck shit because I might get an interview. And I'm not going to be calling other people's work BS because I want to make nice with a guy, right? What I'm saying is this. I'm starting to see right now, some fan got in my thing, right? If you still here walking with me, thank you. End of the day, I'm just gonna be here talking for a while. A fan got in my comments, and he said, "Charles, you milking the algorithm. This J. Cole stuff, you're milking the algorithm. You're using this J. Cole dissing to advance your channel." What he doesn't know is right now talking negatively about J. Cole is the opposite of that. I can count on one hand how many people still do it, right? Drake is open season. You can talk Drake about Drake all you want until Iceman drop. I don't know what's going on. But before this album dropped, everyone was on board that J. Cole did the goofiest, worst thing in hip hop. And now it's like, what happened? We love this album. We love J. Cole. What are you guys still talking about this for? And I say all that to say this. Now what we're calling out is hip hop a disaster, one of the worst things that ever happened. A guy got in a battle. He did a diss record. He dissed the man so badly, people said it was trash. He deleted the record. It's never happened. But somehow there's a time limit on that. And now I got to actually get right back to square one and start critiquing his album as if this shit is fucking magic. And never forget that this guy talked hella tough for years and backed out of it. And just because some of my constituents are fans of his and or want an interview with him, that I'm talking BS when I bring it up. Now you're going to say, Charles, you don't know if he's talking about you. He obviously wasn't talking directly about me, but he's talking about the people who do what I do, when that includes me. Right? It's not BS because we critique this nigga. All right? Let me just say that again. It ain't BS because we critiquing him. And he not just giving us old shit to critique him on, gang. Okay? We're not just critiquing him off the fucking battle. All right? Well, let's keep this, let's keep it down. Let's bring it down, Charles. We're not doing that today. J. Cole has done a series of unfortunate events. But at the moment, these guys want this so badly that none of them matter. Let's just get back to the music. Let's just get back to the music, guys. Let's just critique this 24-track album. Let's just talk about the music. This is how we got where we were when all of the magazines were pandering to all the rappers. This is how a lot of rappers got to be famous, because they'll go up to the magazine and stomp one of these niggas out for talking about them. So they would talk nicely. And this is how a lot of these guys right now, we're saying that they're dumbasses. Right now in 2026. We're seeing most of these guys that we revered are goofballs. But for some reason, they're still allowed in this culture because of the reputation they built in the magazines back in 2003, whatever it was. This is the same culture that we're going to sit here and let these guys slide with because we want the interview. We're not even critiquing hip-hop anymore. What we're doing, we're critiquing artist by artist, and we're basing it on if we like them or not. Let me just say this. I'm going to be me regardless. I don't do this for no friends. Just so you know. And I don't do this just to get the algorithm going. I'm not going to talk about something if I don't want to talk about just to get the algorithm going. Half my content is against the algorithm. And somehow, some way, people still watch it. The reason YouTube is successful, people want to hear other voices other than the same old. And I get it. We need those journalists, those collegiate guys who well-studied, well-versed, been doing hip-hop journalism for 30 years. They got a million great, wonderful stories about this rapper and that rapper. We need their voice, right? We need them. But the reason print magazine and all this, that, and the third actually started dying was because it was people that didn't conform to that. And it was people that could get on YouTube with another voice. So if you're going to bring that here to this space where everybody can do it and say what they want to do, right? And again, I'm not trying to be combative, but I'm just going to be honest. We're not doing BS. We're speaking what 90% of the culture is saying half the time. Okay, some shit is right, some shit is just wrong. Okay, some shit is black and white. Some shit is hip hop, and that's not hip hop. And some things are what they are. So no matter how you try to play it down the middle and be fair, sometimes a nigga is just fucking wrong.
You know what's funny? Everything dude is talking about, yo, this goes back to episode 1 of the consumer group chat. If we don't change the habits that we keep, we are doomed to repeat everything that's been done. Now look at the J. Cole situation.
Okay? So, as we start to shift and build and try to maneuver this thing to who got an album coming out because I like them, we got to figure out how long are we going to say that this nigga's right, this nigga's wrong, when they keep doing shit over and over? How long do we, what's the time limit that you could talk about it until, okay, now to me, it ain't no time limit, right? Ain't no time limit. The simple fact of the matter is, I'm seeing more and more egregious shit right now in 2026. But these middle of the road people, very dismissive of the nigga's character, of all these niggas' character. Because they still in that mind frame of, oh, I might bump into this guy one day. Oh, I might want the interview from this guy one day. Oh, I'm so hip-hop that I can forgive all that shit and just get into the music. I don't know if y'all niggas know, hip-hop not just about the music. Hip-hop is a lifestyle, and how you carry yourself on the street matters. Mm-hmm. Your word matters. Your actions matter. If you keep doing a whole lot of...
Yo, John, what's poppin'? I think this is the first time I've seen your name around here. Welcome to the Flex Mind Network. We just kicking back right now. We just listening to dude. You know, he has a pretty big voice in the hip-hop space. He got a message. Yeah, we just kicking back, though.
Fuck shit, then you're a fuck nigga. And I'm not going to keep celebrating you. Because I might get an interview. I just got to be me, gang. And if my viewership dwindles down to 0, then it is what it is. I was happy to get 100 subscribers one day. Geeked out.
Shit, me too.
Okay? So, end of the day, I'm going to keep talking about hip-hop. I'm not putting no rapper above it. None. These guys tend to bend and twist and fold up when their rapper do some fuck shit. There's no rules in this shit no more. I can do anything I want. Let's see when Kanye drops Bully, how many of these motherfuckers fold up.
Facts.
How many times Kanye did some Kanye shit? And now he did an apology. Now we all back on Kanye? I think not. So if I'm the last one out, gang, like right now, let's just be honest. I'm starting to see a move to corporatize this shit, to be nice to everybody so I can get the elusive interview. Everybody want to be Drink Champs and Fat Joe. And that's good. That's great. But somebody out here got to really call it like it is, because we can't have it where hip-hop is whatever it is that they say from the corporate level. When it's an album coming out, oh yeah, this is what hip-hop is now. This motherfucker do fuck shit 3 years straight. Then he drop an album, and we just talking about the album like nothing ever happened. That's where it's going. I can't do that, dog. I'm not doing that. So when Iceman drop out, you will not see me here like, oh, shit, track 4 is crazy, my G.
I'm not going to lie. I'll say it if it's warranted, but I'm going to be very critical about that album. I'm going to be so real with you. I'm going to be listening to Iceman, but I'm going to be probably the most critical I've ever been with that album. I'm not being generous at all. And y'all had a preview from the leaked songs that we heard. Y'all got a preview. I don't want to hear nothing slick. If you're gonna rap, rap. If you are unable to do that, stop. That's all I gotta say.
But some of these niggas will be. That is a fact. I told you when that thing dropped, I said, this guy, a lot of these guys are planning this so that when the album drop, they can pursue this thing without any guilt. When this album drop, they're going to be guilt-free because they've already lined it up that there's nothing wrong with J. Cole's apology. So what they're doing now is making sure that there's lining it up so that when they actually do these J. Cole things and these Drake things, that they already told you they're fine with this guy. They have no problem with it. Just so you know. So I've been saying this for a while, that this has been one long setup so that when these guys actually have a chance to say something positive, they've lined you up for months that they have nothing wrong with this guy. Or weeks, let's say weeks. Because there wasn't a whole lot of J. Cole this, J. Cole that before that trailer dropped. And I told you, I said, I'm watching these guys slowly make this thing all about this, that, and the third. Well, guess what? Let me just say something they may not know. If you read in the comments for most of these things, the culture is not really with you with all this forgive and forget shit. I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to be honest. Yes, Cole has a massive fan base, and I'm not here. This ain't about Cole. I'm already past whatever is going on with J. Cole personally. That's going to be something that we'll talk about in the future, but this is not about Cole. Just so you know. This is about the journalists and YouTubers that I've seen flip-flop and got giddy gumdrops. And I can imagine what that interview would look like. Niggas tripping over themselves to not irritate this nigga. Nigga not asking them real shit, or quietly, meekly ask him some soft shit, and then he throw a fucking lob up and hit it, and then it's back to, oh, but track 8, like just talking about his fucking music. But this is the thing with me. I can't just sit there and talk about your music. It's too many things. People do too many things in the real world, in the social media world, that we have to address. My interview with J. Cole would be dramatically different. It wouldn't be disrespectful. It'd be just very different. It wouldn't make no sense for me to interview him because I would have way more conversation. It'd be an hour before we get to the music. Just gonna be honest. Because me, I am a character person. You would say, Charles, who got? Well, it don't matter who. If I say I'm a character person, you're gonna see me talk about a person and character. How many fuck things you see me talking about Kendrick? How many fuck things? It's so many people that don't do all this fuck shit. But we prop up the ones that make the most sales and this, that, and the third. And I got a problem with it. So my whole thing right here is this. Jockeying for these interviews openly, to me, means you're compromised. So for you to sit there and say, I'm the best guy for this interview, it means you're never going to say nothing against this guy. And if you're never going to say nothing against him, then you're compromised. End of story. So the problem with the problem with the matter is, to me, he's not the only one. It's a whole bunch of guys that flipped and went to flop. And I'm like, if you could do that for J. Cole, then you're most likely going to do it for Drake too. Trying to play the middle. So these fans want to attack you. Let me just be honest. These fans attack this guy worse than they attack me. They attack because they know where I stand. It's like you wasting your time with somebody who stands on shit. When it's a guy that's acting like, oh, I'm just going to be fair and honest, so every time I speak, I got to be in the middle. They're going to come at you worse. They're going to come at you worse because they know it's going to affect you. End of the day, I couldn't do another video till I got this off my chest because it really, what I'm saying is this, and we're going to get back to the videos, we're going to get back to all that, this, that, and the third. But this one really, really annoyed me because of the simple fact that we're all supposed to be doing hip hop and we ain't got to look at the same way. But don't call it BS when we calling these niggas out. As if we supposed to be goody gumdrops all day. Talking about these motherfuckers who do tons of fuck shit. Like tons, not one. This nigga did the mad shit since the battle, dog. He's in a case right now with camera because he didn't do a verse he said he was going to do. He flaked on him 4 times. 5, depending on how you look at it. So end of the day, we're gonna wrap this up, right? I'm gonna let the snowplow guy do his job over here. End of the day, I'm gonna call it like this. I see where this is going and I'm not going there. I'm not going back to the days where we kiss rappers' ass. Tell them they shit don't stink because we want an interview. I'm not doing it. Just so you know and any rapper know and any YouTuber know and anybody that watch this channel know. Right? I'm not going to get upward mobility by doing that because I don't care. This game used to be about upward mobility. How many rappers you can get in your stable? How many dope interviews with these rappers you can get? And apparently that's where they want to go back to. Well, let me just do that. Let me let y'all know what it's not going to be over here. It's not going to be that. Because then when it come time for you to call that rapper out, he could be like, but bro, I gave you the fucking interview, my G. Now he own you. Now guess what you're going to be doing? Fucking djakademiks, fucking for 5 years straight defending a nigga doing fuck shit every day. You officially compromised at that point. So no, it's not BS that I'm calling out J. Cole on his fuck shit. It's not BS that I'm calling out Drake on his fuck shit. And all these other motherfuckers, Dame Dash, this, and the third, whoever you want to put up there that I'm talking about. Dr. Umar, fucking Lord Jamar, whoever the fuck I'm talking about, it ain't BS. Because 9 times out of 10, they did some fuck shit. And I'm not going to forgive you, start listening to your fucking album, Happy Go Lucky, and acting like you ain't never do shit. I'm going to call it out. And when you do 5, 6, 7 fuck shit nigga things, then I'm going to have a problem with you. And once your character is beyond redeemable, then that's where I'm going to be with you. It is what it is. Ain't none of us no saints, but I'm not going to act like you're fucking the king of fucking rap either. Right? Nobody's perfect. We know that. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Kendrick not perfect. Nobody's perfect. That was never the argument. The argument is we need to ask you some real questions that you're not answering. Okay? Really, you're answering them half the shit because you come right back and do the shit over again. So once you do it, you're a habitual line stepper, then you're a line stepper. We're going to take it as that. I'm not kissing your ass for no interview. I'm going to leave it at that. CLBMG. Head on over to black-yeti.com. Let her know who sent you.
Well, we pretty much, if he's doing all the ads, we're pretty much at the end, bro. This wasn't a reaction. We're just sitting back watching. I just wanted to watch. I feel like when it comes to Charles videos, if there's a really good one that I see, we just gonna sit back and watch. But that's how I see it nowadays. Because if I was to do a reaction, that's gonna be over an hour, guaranteed. The amount of times that I wanted to stop the video to say something, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna let it go. A lot of things he was saying was fact, though. A lot of things he was saying was fact. I'm still leaning on what I've been saying this whole time. If we're going to continue to go down the path that we did prior, we are doomed to repeat every mistake that we made. And if we cannot realize that, we're cooked. Bro, you gotta call out these guys. You gotta call out every single one. Even Kendrick when warranted. If Kendrick do some bullshit, call him out. Stop holding back. Like, same thing with 50 Cent. Call him out. Why we keep coddling these dudes for? Y'all think they moving around here like God. They people too. Stop coddling these niggas. Out here looking weird. Like we're trying to parent these artists. I'm not your parent, bro. You a person. The hell you do that nonsense for? Nah, bro. Call them out. So I agree. But, you know, when it comes to the labels, when you get that little baggy bag, yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. When you get that little loot bag, you know, not necessarily payola, but if you get a little loot bag, you know, you get some party favors. Hey, fun fact, I remember I had a friend. Hey, shout out Sharon Elizabeth. I appreciate you for your subscription. Thank you. I remember I had a friend that worked at the Gucci store. There was a Gucci store in a mall, and one of my friends was working there. He was also in the same class as me. So, I remember he told me, within the first week of him being hired, they did not want him to leave. They did not want him to leave. The way this man was getting loot bags, little gift bags. What was inside the gift bag, you ask? A Gucci suit. All he had to do was go get it pressed, and then boom. You got a suit, you got a Gucci belt, you got a little t-shirt. They give you some shoes. They give you a whole outfit. They give you a Gucci tracksuit. You know, he getting flown out to go places just to meet up with Gucci headquarters, so he can be a part of like onboarding meetings and all that. Bro, they don't want you to leave once they hire you, bro. I feel like at the time it was funny. I'm like, nigga, do you have a career job and you still in college? That's crazy, bro. This man working at Gucci and this shit look like a career job. Like, bro, that's wild. That's wild. Man getting flown out. Gift. I'm like, oh, you in it for life. Couldn't be me. I tell you that. But it's funny though. And I see on, like, you know, what he talking about on YouTube with some of the creators. I'm like, I get it. I understand it now. Like, I get it though. You know? But it's cool. Oh, Culture United just started. I just got the notification. Listen, this was the last video for today. I'm going to go over to Culture United to go and watch. All right, I want to make sure I tune into the Culture United. If you don't know what that is, just type in the company man on YouTube. He should be live right now. That's exactly where I'm going. I don't even think I need to be in the chat, but it's just something for me to watch, to learn from, right? So, with that being said, we are at the end of the live. I'm not going to waste no more time. Let's go ahead and get out of here, all right? Yo, y'all know the vibe. Y'all messing with the red light behind me, by the way? Like, I'm trying to see, like, I'm mixing it up because I forgot I had a second light. So I'm going to start to use it just to put a little color behind me, you know? But y'all know the spiel already, all right? Take care, be well, be safe. Stay true, be you, live long, and long live. Peace, have a great day, have a great night, wherever you are in this world. Thank you for stopping by like always. I appreciate y'all viewership, your eyes and ears. Shout out to the Flex Mob, shout out to the Shadow Mob. Hey, don't forget to be an outstanding person out there, bro. I know this world be dark, but we are the light to light the way. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me go ahead and just watch this Culture United, bro. Y'all know what time it is. Hey, and happy early birthday to Noah, because I know your birthday tomorrow. Your birthday on the 26th of February. Happy birthday.